So, in terms of TV show reviews, I reviewed Thomas, I reviewed Pingu, I reviewed Teletubbies, and I reviewed Bob the Builder. So, I guess the next show I have to review is Five and Sam, right? I mean, I think it's the only show out of the shows I've recently watched that I haven't reviewed yet. Oh, wait a goddamn minute! Is that a certified 2D masterpiece I sense? Apparently I do. What, did you all think I was going to review Five and Sam? Nah, I don't think I'll ever review that show anytime soon, despite Great Fire being one of my most popular videos. Anyway, to say that I've had a blast watching this show from start to finish would be an understatement. I have never had this much fun whilst watching a show since Thomas ended. But just how great is this show exactly? Well, let's dive on in and find out. Ladies and gents, this is my review of The Owl House. The Owl House is a 3-season-long series that focuses on Loose Nose Cena, played by Sarah Nicole Robles, and her journey to get back to the human realm. Along the way, she meets some new faces like Ina Clawhorn, the Owl Lady, played by Wendy Malick, Willow Park, played by Tati Gabrielle, and her eventual true love, Amity Blight, played by Mae Whitman. I have been meaning to cover this show for ages now, ever since I did my character highlight reel episode on Luce and Amity. And after watching all the episodes on my Amazon Fire Stick, I think it was a fair enough time to finally review it, especially since my Ready Steady Build review did quite well. But instead of reviewing this episode by episode, because that would take forever, I'm going to go over the production of the show, the good, maybe the bad, and my overall thoughts on this show. So, let's begin with how this show was made. Dana Terrace, the show's creator and voice of Tenella Nosa, first conceived the idea of a girl learning to be a witch in late 2016. That same year, she began to finally develop the story after a fellow writer called it boring and dismissed it as something no one would want to see. She began researching influences and work from her college years, as she didn't feel artistically or emotionally fulfilled, and eventually rediscovered the works of artists such as Hieronymus Bosch, I completely butchered that, and Remedios Varo. God, these names are confusing. Which inspired her to create a show that featured strong surreal visual elements. Terry spent about 2 months developing 15 pages with a summary of a story and characters to pitch to different networks. She pitched the idea to Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon, with the former eventually picking it up. Terrace admitted that Disney was the only network that allowed her to develop the series in a 22-minute format, as others were looking for 11-minute comedies. Fair enough, I suppose. The pilot was in development for 6 months between April and September 2017. A separate animation test was also created around this time. On February 23, 2018, Disney Channel greenlit the series alongside Amphibia. On Twitter, many of the production crew announced their involvement in the series. On March 22, 2018, supervising producer Steven Sandoval announced productions such as casting, designs, music, storyboards, and writing had begun. On September 5, 2019, it was announced that Sarah Nicole Robles, Wendy Malick, and Alex Hirsch would be the main cast as the voices of Luce, Ida, and King respectively. That same day, it was announced that Tati Gabrielle, Isaac Ryan Brown, Mae Whitman, Isabella Rossellini, Matt Reese, Eden Regal, and Parvesh Sheena would be part of the cast. The show eventually aired on January 10th, 2020. Alright, now that we've gone over its production, now let's go over the things that make this show so magical. First off, the 2D animation is actually quite impressive. There are so many impressive camera angles and movements that makes it so fluid to watch. Being that this is made by the same company that made shows like Gravity Falls and Amphibia, the team at Disney Television definitely knew what they were doing. Some of my favorite shots, animation-wise, would have to be in Eclipse Lake. I mean, just look at those cave shots. They're so cool. Granted, the animation isn't Pixar level quality of animation, but it's still very pretty to look at nonetheless. At least it's better than All Legends Go's animation, that's for sure. I also really like most of the characters in this series as well. Skara, Viney, Boscha, Edric and Emera, Lilith, Willow, Gus, Hunter, even Ida's a great character as well. I love how she acts like a motherly figure throughout the entire show. King is also just a cute little bean as well. But the two characters that I love the most in this show, as I'm sure you guys already know, is Luce and Amity. Luce is a great protagonist. You can definitely relate to her throughout her character journey across the show. Amity might just be my favorite character in the whole show, or at least tied with Luce. I adore her character arc across the series. Starting off as a mean bully under her mother's command, to slowly changing her ways and becoming much nicer, and eventually finding her heart and falling in love with Luce. What an amazing character shift. The music for this show is also amazing. There are so many banger tunes that I really adore at times. I love the music during Luce and Amity's battle dance. I love the symphony of Ida and Rain's duet. And I absolutely adore the music during the final ever battle of the entire show. There were also quite a lot of funny moments in the show as well. A lot of Ida's moments definitely gave me a good chuckle. But there were also quite a few moments with Amity as well that made me laugh. Especially when she has a crush on Luce post Enchanting Grand Fright. I love that moment between her and Luce in the aforementioned episode that I spoke of in my character highlight reel episode on them. And that one moment in Wing It Like Witches where Luce asks Amity if she wants to be on her Grudgby team definitely made me laugh. Especially with Amity's response.
Me? On a team with you? Running around in cute uniforms? Sweating? I gotta go!
The way how she says it, along with her face turning as red as James's paintwork, was so funny. And lastly, I love some of the episode concepts that are similar to what we have here in the human world. Like Flyer Derby as an example, being similar to that one sport from the Harry Potter series. But my favorite reference to real life in this show is Grudgby. be a reference and a combination of both basketball and rugby. To whoever at Disney came up with that deserves a raise. Because you, sir or ma'am, are amazing. Now, are there any bad things I could find in this show? No! Surprisingly, there aren't any moments that just made me angry or frustrated. But if I had to nitpick with this show, I just wasn't a big fan of that one episode where Luce, Eda, and King swap bodies. Sure, it's cool to see, and it gives off the whole Freaky Friday vibes, but when compared to the other stuff the show offered, this concept didn't really flow with me. But aside from that, this show is still awesome to watch, and most of its episodes rock, at least in my opinion. So, my final thoughts on this show is that it is easily, hands down, the best thing Disney has put out in a long time. I thought Cars 3 was easily peak Disney in my opinion, despite it also being Pixar. And I always thought that nothing would ever top what it did. Until I was completely taken aback with just how phenomenally done this show was. From its impressive 2D animation, to its likable and quite fun and interesting characters, to its amazing score, to its unique voice cast, it is without a doubt peak Disney. It genuinely feels like something from the 90s period. I genuinely wish that this show kept going, because I certainly had a blast watching this series from start to finish. Of course, nothing will ever top Thomas, but this show is a very close second, and I will never forget what it did. And there we have it, my review of The Owl House. I'd have to say that coming out of this series was such a delight, and I still love to rewatch it from time to time. In terms of what's next for TV show reviews, I don't really know what I could review next. Maybe Amphibia, or Monsters at Work, or maybe even Cars on the Road. Who knows? Chances are that I might review something Fireman Sam related in the future, but that'll all just depend on if I ever get back into the show again. However, in the works is a review of every single Pixar movie, but they'll be in the style of my Sunset Paradise review, and how Thomas 1 Edward 2 Henry 3 did his Thomas movie reviews back in 2015. As my Planes video was such a mess in terms of its footage issues. But don't worry, I'll make them as enjoyable as they can be. I know the Western Spaghetti review has been in the works for a little while now, so maybe it's time to finally get around to that. If you guys want to see more reviews like this one, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on the newest content. I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.